Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit is happy here back again with Yowamushi Pedal 1, episode 7 of season 1. In the last episode, so we've started off this this sort of newbie race where all of the new recruits for the bicycle racing club are all taking part in a 60-kilometer race, and one of the sort of less experienced by a guy called Kawada, he went ahead at the very beginning, almost like he's running some kind of sprint race. So. Yeah, very inexperienced. I mean, I'm quite surprised anyway, because I think he was the one that's like, he topped the tennis club or something, you know what I mean? So he should already have a sort of mind for sports and that kind of thing. He should really know that that's, you know, I think if you've been like that much into any sport, you know what I mean? Well, I mean, that's physically sort of like, you know, straining on your body. So like not like, you know, I guess golf or anything like that, right? But yeah, something like tennis, you know what I mean? You would have an idea of exactly how much punishment, if you will, your body can actually take before it starts to you start to lose like stamina and stuff, right? So I'm surprised he's even thinking about this, especially, you know, knowing how long like 60 kilometers is. I mean, you know, I think anybody with the right mind would know that you're not going to be able to sprint that much. You know what I mean? There's going to get to a point where it's going to fuck you over. And depending on how much he knows of the local area, he's still got a fucking hill to climb. You know what I mean? Like, you save your energy for fucking that. You know what I mean? I would have let him off if he'd been like, you know, stayed with the pack, got up to the top, and then on the descent, then, you know, use that and sprint from that. But from the very beginning, idiot. we had the other sort of the other least experienced guy, Sakurai or whatever, basically almost agree with the guy, but at least he didn't decide to follow him and he actually stayed back. And then the other guy, who I couldn't for the life of me remember the guy's name. I tried going through it. It's Sugimoto, that's the guy, right? So he's someone who's like got a he knows the sort of like ins and outs, the details of bike racing and stuff, and I was wondering whether like he would have any real like actual experience, but it seems like he actually does. I mean, I was about to say like, nah, he's just sort of like a geek for like the knowledge of it, but I don't know if he actually had any experience. Yeah, physically. Turns out I think he does. So yeah. Of course, Onoda was on his you know mommy's bike because he doesn't have a race bike of his own, so that was a question that was answered. I wondered if they'd like if the school had actually had like ones that you could use, but no, you need your own. Luckily, Kanzaki and crew, I guess, Miki and whatnot, provided an actual race bike for Onoda, right? So he obviously switched halfway through, which I got right, and now he's now that he's changed over to that, he is on the comeback. So it's all going to be dependent on like when he actually catches up. I have a feeling he's going to catch up to Naruko and Imaizumi like somewhere around the hill area. You know, I think that's you know, because I think he's good at climbing, and it's going to be much easier with this. I think he's already used to it with a mommy's bike. I think with a race bike, it's going to be easy for him. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. And see what we get. So yeah, episode 7, we're going to get in this episode, see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 7. Right, so yeah, alright, I was right then. Just by the name of the title, I did like kind of like assume that he wouldn't catch up to them this episode. But next episode it's happening. Right, so yeah, very beginning, him on Onoda using obviously the bike with the amount of gears that there is there. He's been given knowledge from multiple guys, like whether it be, you know, Kanzaki or Sugimoto or whatever, like, you know, the times of when to use certain gears and stuff. So, you know, it's just all of a question of whether or not he's actually taken any of that on board. I feel like he has, because I don't think he's like, you know, Onoda being like kind of who he is, I think he does sort of take that information, like he takes it on board. It's just a question of whether or not like he actually remembers to, because of you know, because he's so into it, the idea of like him catching up to Naruto and Imaizumi, that I'm wondering if that kind of stuff even crosses his mind, because he's so focused on one goal that you can tend to forget shit. So we'll see if that's something like, I feel like they should put it in, because I think it's a necessary detail to throw in. I mean, I think you could probably get away without them like you know, not showing him changing gears and stuff, but I feel like just for the sake of, because it's an anime based around it, that they probably should. So we'll see. So yeah, we'll have the guy and the girl who had the obvious cap on, the cap that literally said cap on it, as if we didn't know. She's got some mad eyes going on. And then the guy who's got like the cheekbones for days. Of course, there's always I feel like already there's like 3 characters. Yeah, I think maybe the foreigner guy, maybe not as much. But with Sugimoto and that fucking cheekbone guy, where they're all like so fucking like you know, snobby fucking, you know, people who are like, oh yeah, I know cycling me, you know what I mean, I know all the ins and outs, so you know what I mean, I'm kind of an expert in this kind of thing, you know what I mean, like, fucking honestly, man. But yeah, he's talking about obviously racing gear and the sort of wind resistance it provides and stuff like that, about how Naruto and Imaizumi have them, but the people in the back do not. And I think, like, so naive, the guy. He figured just because Onoda was wearing a tracksuit and glasses, oh, I can beat him then. You know what I mean? How fucking, oh god, like how that's just pure judging a book by the way they look. That's just fuck. That's nuts. But yeah, he got shown up, very much so. But the girl who was there made an observation that Onoda is actually faster uphill than what Naruki and Imaizumi were. Now, it's possible. I think she wasn't lying. I think that was actually that was actually the case. But later on in the episode, I think the first time we saw Imaizumi and Naruto in this episode, Imaizumi points out like, "Oh, you've slowed down," and then Naruto says, "I've slowed down for you." So it's not their usual speed, I'm guessing, on hills. They've made a point to basically say that this is where I'm sort of observing each other, right? That's what they're doing on this hill, and then as soon as it gets to like the sort of, I think Imaizumi says, as soon as it starts getting to the windy roads and stuff, that's when he'll challenge, right? So that's when like the race between those two will start. But I can't help but think that Onoda's going to throw a wrench in that, and then all of a sudden it's not going to be just about them two, but it's going to be about those 3. Now, I would be very fucking surprised if Onoda ends up winning this. I don't see that happening at all. If I'm being honest, I think Imaizumi is going to take it. My reasoning for this is like, I feel like Imaizumi is sort of an all-rounder kind of racer, you know what I mean? Like, Naruto pointed out like in episode 6 or something that, you know, you'll find your thing, right, in a race. Like, each person has their thing that they're kind of good at, and that's what they specialize in. And I don't know which one Imaizumi's is, but I kind of get the feeling he's an all-rounder, because it like, whereas it's focused a lot on sort of, well, with Onoda, I think it was more focused around him as in climbing, right? Like, that's where people noticed him, when he was able to climb, because on a mommy bike that's just ridiculous, right? But he was able to do it. With Naruto, it was said from the get-go that he's a speed man, so he's greatest on flats and he's quick. But with Imaizumi, it hasn't been determined. Now, I guess that could just be because it could be a revelation later on, when, like, you know, like, as soon as it gets to the point, like, I don't know, maybe when it gets to descent, for example, like maybe like he'll pull ahead and then it'll be like a reveal, like, yeah, this is what I'm best at, maybe. Because I don't know, I mean, he pointed out like the windy roads. I feel like winding roads is much harder on a descent than it is on an ascent, right? I would say so, because you've got to have real control over like the speed that you're going downhill, whereas uphill, because you're fighting against it, I feel like you have more control. Whereas when you're going at high speeds, taking corners and wide, but you know what I mean, it's tough. It's more tough. So I don't know, it might just not have been revealed yet, but I kind of just see Imaizumi as more of an all-rounder at the moment, whereas I feel like Naruto is, you know, his specialty lies in flats, and there isn't another flat coming up, I don't believe. There's at the end of this mountain, there's a descent, right? And then it goes into the final stage where it says it's up and down and stuff, right? So it's not consistent. So I'm gonna say that Imaizumi's gonna win it. And Honor is going to catch up to them, right? Now, the captain basically said before that that you'd make a choice. You've only got 2 choices. Now, I feel like it's just kind of... It's sort of a given that whoever the protagonist is of these kind of shows they are there to sort of defy the odds, right? So the idea of the captain giving them 2 choices: either you stay in the place that, like, you stay going at the same pace that you are and you'll finish the race, or you basically you speed up to try and catch up to Naruto and Imaizumi, and you don't finish the race, right? Now he's clearly pointed that out, so this is what I'm thinking. I think what will happen is there will be a time during this race. I'm gonna say in the next episode, right? I think, because it has to be, right. Well, I don't think we're gonna have another episode of him not catching up. So I think we're gonna have another catch up, and then at some point during the last stage, I think he'll be with them during the descent. I think that's probably what I'm gonna say. He's gonna be with them during the whole descent. It's based upon well, as long as Imaizumi isn't a fucking descent specialist, and that's what he's great at, and so he can't, like, take a good lead ahead. But I feel like once it gets to the 4th stage, that's where Onoda will lose, like, a lot of juice. His stamina's going to be running low. So Naruto and Imaizumi will take off, and they'll get first and second, right? And then I think what it will be is it'll be the thing that's going to overcome, like, with Onoda overcoming the odds, the thing will be that he's not going to give up and he's going to get to the finish line, right? And that's what the whole thing will be. So I think he'll still get 3rd, but by doing so, that's not a bad thing, because he managed to finish the race even by increasing the pace. You know what I mean? When the captain and whatnot had basically said that that's not something you can do. You know what I mean? If you increase the pace, you're going to drop out, right? So I feel like that's what's going to happen, but we'll wait and see. Yeah. So they mentioned Onoda's technique when he's sort of his pedals are hitting the floor, because he's taken the inner lane, right? Which obviously in a race, making up time, that's kind of, you know, a great way of doing so, because taking the inner lane as opposed to the outer one allows you to shave off seconds and stuff like that, which allow you to fucking obviously gain time on whoever's in first. Makishima basically said that you know, when you're taking those sort of you should take the outer edge, because that's where it's the flattest. But yeah, it was nice to see them sort of, like, praise him for for going around the inner route. Now, I don't know if it's just necessarily praise because Onoda knew that was the case, I don't think that's the case at all. I don't think he knows at all. He's just trying to get there in the quickest possible time, right? And there's nothing else happening around him. Like, he's sort of like in his own bubbles, like focused. I'm going to catch up with him. That's it. So, you know, I mean, but I think it was nice just to see them like sort of understand that, and not exactly just like say like, oh, he's an amateur, that's what he's doing. You know what I mean? He should definitely be taking the outside route. But but yeah, so we didn't see Naruto or Inaizumi pass Kawada at all. Like, there was never a time we saw that. I'm surprised. I'm very, very surprised. Because I mean, it's you'd think that would be like a good sort of reaction to see. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean my reaction. I mean like the reaction from Kawada, basically saying, "Oh damn, I got passed." You know what I mean? Like, oh, these guys are like next level and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I'm surprised that didn't happen, but yeah. And also the recovery vehicle not picking up guys in the back. Like, I get that, like, for us, Onoda is the protagonist. We don't really give a shit about Kawada and Sakurai and Sugimoto, really. So, you know, there's that. And I guess, like, you get the sort of exposition. The exposition's being given from the guys in the back who are watching Onoda race, right? So, like, in the van. So there's that. But, fuck. It's like, it's so much. If you think about it, like, if you don't think about this as like a show where like, oh, we need the exposition and stuff like that, if you just think about it being like in that world, fuck me, Onoda's getting like, he's getting so much more, they're basically just discounting everyone they're going by, you know what I mean? They're just like, whatever, we don't care about them. This is the special guy, we're focusing on him, he's getting special attention, Onoda, right? It's just a bit, whoa, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, a bit harsh to the guys in the back, but oh well, that's what it is. They did say that apparently the second years and stuff were actually behind them and keeping them on track, I guess. So there's that. So yeah. Yeah, Makishima basically talking about how Onoda would be unable to catch up because of the 8-minute sort of gap. Now, I've said before in like the previous episodes that like when it comes to racing, things like time and stuff like that sort of become way more important, and like because of that, because of like the sheer like sort of length between people, like where they are in situation, like to the fucking finish line, whatever the fuck, is basically, it just means that like time and stuff like that is actually like, it feels like longer almost, you know what I mean? Like when you're like, I mean, and fucking hell, like you've got to think, like even in any sort of like race, seconds just sort of like become so important. They're just so much, like they just feel so much longer. It just becomes so much more important, you know. And the fact that these 8 minutes behind, that's a lot of fucking time to make up. Now, granted, at the end there, they had that foreigner guy who fell over and basically made them stop. I mean, because they don't know the guy, even if he was the club captain. Oh, sorry, the coach or whatever the fuck, right? They don't know that, so the fact that they're stopping, like, listen, right? I appreciate like that they're looking out for the guy, right? Because let's be honest, right? But I mean, it's just some random dude. I mean, he's just running. He's like, yeah. I mean, you can look back and be like, cheers, thank you. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I don't know why it stopped. So yeah. I was like, I was thinking like maybe there was something with like the captain telling that foreigner guy, if he is the coach, whatever, to do something to stop them from racing, right? So that Onoda could catch up. I don't know if that would be the case or not. I feel like it would sort of, I don't know. See, because it could go two ways. Like, you could demine, you could sort of like undermine, no, that's not even the correct term, but like, you know, if Onada was to like to sort of find that out, like it could go one or two ways. Either Onada could take it as like, well, I don't even think it's Onada taking it, but Onada could take it as a way of like, it could be like, oh, that, like, I didn't want you to do that, like now I feel like I didn't earn anything, which for a protagonist that's kind of like all, like that's what they're best at, is like earning their own spot because of their willingness to work hard and stuff. But like from other perspectives, like you could see like, I don't know, I think Mickey would be in Onada's sort of on Onada's side in that regard. Like you should let him earn it. But like the other people would probably be like, oh, the captain like truly cares about this kid. I don't know. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's possible that he could have planned something. It would be nice if I did end up picking, if I did like, you know, figure that out beforehand. But I'm kind of hoping that's not the case. I hope that you know, it was just a plan, whatever the fuck. I don't know. I mean, it could be a plan, in which case like they could have made the plan not specifically for Onada though. They could have just done it as a way to just like test their sort of test the guys in front's like sort of resolve like what to do in the situation, maybe. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, that was episode 7. So thank you everyone for watching. In the description below I have links to certain things. Discord, if you want any information regarding my content, get yourself over there. Also, if you want to come talk to me out of the community, you're free to do that as well. SirMonkeySuit.com, my website, all my content is over there. You can become a member and join the forums, and there's like a reaction recommendations page there where you can put in your recommendations and stuff for future pools. And Patreon. So I do have a Patreon. If you do want to support me, that'd be very much appreciated. There's a bunch of different tiers and rewards depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier for $5 a month. That gives you access to all of the shows that I do a week early. And as of right now, Fate gets 4 episodes a week. So if you want to watch, like, you know, if you're one of those that watch my Fate reactions and stuff like that, you can watch basically all of Unlimited Blade Works right now, because I'm nearly finished. So there's that. $10 a month, that's the full length. That gives you access to my full length library. Everything I react to gets a full length. Exclusive tier, that is the $15. That gives you access to a bonus show which I'm reacting to, which is currently 7 Deadly Sins. So if you're interested in me reacting to that, become an exclusive tier patron. $50, that is the elite tier. Every time you pay $50, you get a choice of a show that you want me to react to, and I will react to it. It will go at the back of the list by about 7 shows. It might take me a while to get around to it, but I will do eventually. But if you don't want to wait that long and you want your show to be reacted to next, then you want to get God tier, which is $100. But that is all, so thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.